Is the 2024 Seattle Mariners offense one of the worst in Seattle Mariners history? Kinda. We are currently 92 games into the regular season. The Mariners have a 49-43 record and are somehow clinging on to a 2-game lead in the AL West. Only a couple weeks ago, we had a 10-game lead on the division. However, 6 series losses in a row later, we now only have a 2-game lead. We've lost series to teams like Tampa Bay, Miami Marlins, and just yesterday, we finished off a series loss against the Toronto Blue Jays. And there's pretty much one specific reason why we have lost all 6 of these series in a row, and that is strictly the offense. More times than not, our pitching has been keeping us in the game. However, the offense just cannot score some runs. They cannot drive in runners in scoring position. It just feels like they're allergic to getting the big hit. And in 2024, this offense has shown to be one of the worst in baseball, if not the worst in baseball. They currently rank last in batting average, 26th in on-base percentage, 28th in slugging percentage, 28th in on-base plus slugging or OPS, 22nd in WRC plus, and they have the most strikeouts out of any team, and they have that lead by 63 strikeouts. Pretty easy to say it has been a pretty bad time. And why is that? It's probably because you have 5 of your should-be everyday players with a below league average bat. Mitch Garver, Cal Raleigh, JP Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, and Jorge Polanco all have below league average bats by WRC plus, the worst of which is Jorge Polanco at a 69 WRC plus. That's pretty bad. And of your qualified hitters, only 4 of them are at or above league average, that being Dylan Moore, Luke Raley, Josh Rojas, and Ty France. And that's not a good recipe for success, because out of those 4 qualified bats with an above league average WRC plus, only 2 of them came into the season being potential everyday players in Ty France and Luke Raley. And of the other 2, one of them was a utility man in Dylan Moore, and the other was going to be a platoon partner at third base in Josh Rojas. So the guys that you need to produce, your everyday core pieces, have just simply not been. And it has led to this 2024 Mariners offense being one of the worst, if not the worst, in Mariners history. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. I use StatHead by Baseball Reference to query the first 92 games of every Mariners season. So this goes from 1977 to see where the 2024 offense ranks. In Mariners history through the first 92 games, this offense ranks lowest in batting average, highest in strikeouts, 6th lowest in on-base percentage, 4th lowest in slugging percentage, 5th lowest in OPS, and 5th lowest in runs. That's really not a good thing to see, especially when you're hoping this team can make a division push and a playoff push. However, I didn't want to stop there to highlight how bad this offense has been. So I also used StatHead to look at every single team through the first 92 games in the live ball era. So since 1920. The 2024 Mariners rank since 1920 195th lowest in OPS, 66th lowest in on-base percentage, 6th lowest in batting average, and dead last in strikeouts. They have struck out more than any team in the live ball era through the first 92 games of the season. This 2024 Mariners offense is not only one of the worst in Seattle Mariners history, it might be one of the worst in Major League history. And yeah, we're in first place, and you kind of have to wonder, how are we in first place? And that's all due to the pitching, and it's also been historic as well, just on the positive side. Through the first 92 games of a season in Mariners history, this pitching staff ranks 5th in ERA, 3rd in runs allowed, 1st in hits allowed, 1st in walks, and 1st in base runners allowed. So on the 2024 Mariners, we have one of the best pitching staffs in Mariners history, but also one of the worst offenses in Mariner history. Quite a dichotomy there. So ultimately, what needs to happen? Well, a lot of things. The trade deadline is coming up in a few weeks, but in my opinion, you don't need to wait for trades. You need to start making some moves now internally. You need to start making decisions on guys like Mitch Haniger and Jorge Polanco on being on this roster any further. Now, I could see why they probably would keep Jorge Polanco until the trade trade deadline for the sole purpose of trying to hopefully get something back and have a other team bet on him. But Haniger, I just don't see anyone doing that. And you also maybe need to make some calls on optioning some guys down who you wouldn't normally think you would option down. Guys like maybe Ty France, even though he's been a league average bat, he's just been not great recently. And it was funny, a few weeks ago, a lot of the trade deadline talks was we needed a really high leverage bullpen arm, we needed maybe some starting pitching depth, and of course the offense needed its work. But at this point, I think even if you don't get the starting pitching depth, even if you don't get that high leverage reliever, you need to focus on this offense first and foremost, because it is losing you games and it is historically bad. The only thing keeping you afloat at this point is your pitching staff, and I would imagine they're probably going to start getting frustrated if they aren't already soon. The starters are going out there each and every day, putting in quality starts, keeping us in games. The offense just can't get anything going, and a lot of times it's against pitchers that they should be hitting bombs off of. At this point, if a pitcher comes in with an above 5 ERA, we can almost expect him to get his career high in strikeouts. This can't continue any longer. I would love for some moves to happen today by the time this video drops. Maybe some have happened, who knows? But ultimately, this trade deadline is super important because you're making that push to hopefully win the division in a time where both Houston and Texas are a bit weak, especially Texas. Houston is surging, however, their rotation just keeps getting battered by injuries, so now is the time to capitalize. But if you go into the postseason with this offense, if you even make it to the postseason, you are going to get battered. Your pitching can only hold up their end of the bargain for so long. That's gonna be it for me in this one. I appreciate you stopping by. Please like the video, subscribe, it helps me out a lot. I want you to comment down below, what do you think we need to do at the deadline? Who do you think we should target? I'd love to see what you have to think. That's gonna be it for me in this one, and I will see you in the next.